To the March 1st work session of the Rutherford County School Board. Leading our pledge this evening will be Board Member Jeff Jordan.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Again, welcome to a rainy day, but March 1st, but it's pretty pleasant, so anything above the 30s, I think we're pretty happy with. So we'll, moment of silence on Thursday. Ms. Michaels, is that okay? Okay. Questions, comments, discussion regarding the agenda? We'll meet again at our regularly scheduled meeting on Thursday. Questions, comments, discussion with the consent agenda? Y'all are a lively crowd tonight. Visitors will be on Thursday. Number 7 will be fun, Mr. Odom.
It will.
We always enjoyed celebrating academic and athletic success. So this is way cool. So number 8.
Number 8 is courses offered for credit in grades 9 through 12. The Board of Education Policy 4.201 states in part, a listing of courses offered for credit in grades 9 through 12 will be approved annually by the board. Recommend approval. The motion is to approve the list of courses for credit in Rutherford County Schools 9 through 12 for the 2016-2017 as presented. Most of these that you've seen before, about the only thing would be there if it were a special course that comes really in the after 3 years, it's on the regular list also, but we have a plethora of courses.
I like that word. We'll move to number 9.
Number 9 is special courses. The instruction department is requesting permission to make an application to offer credit for special courses under the following guidelines, and this is minimum rules and regulations 521.3.05-2A. Local school systems may offer special courses not listed in 521-3.06 on an experimental basis. The Commissioner of Education must approve each course in advance each year. After 3 years, the course may become a permanent part of the local school program upon approval by the State Board of Education. After 3 years, the special course request must be resubmitted if the teacher listed on the application changes. So recommend approval. The motion is to approve Rutherford County making applications for new special courses to be offered in the named schools 2016-17 as presented. And again, some of these are within that 3 years because you have to do it 3 years in a row. It's what most of them are when you do that.
Number 10.
This is facilities, and so Mr. Clardy, I think, is going to present this for you Thursday evening. I'll talk a little more about Rocky Fork and John Coleman, Central Office re-roof, Laverne Primary School re-roof, Smyrna Elementary Gymnasium, bleachers, and paving, seal coats, and that sort of thing. So he'll kind of update what he has in these projects. And we got a chance to look at a little bit at Rocky Fork briefly the other Saturday when we traveled. So
Did he want to do that tonight?
I'm not sure he put loaded on the computer to do it.
Okay. Want to give you the opportunity.
Is there anything you want him to cover especially or something in any of them?
It's a little deceptive with the entranceway there being somewhat narrow, angling back to the larger piece of property.
You know, I mentioned last night too, for the committee, since we viewed it and went down there, the people who own that next to it, developers, have told him that they're going before Smyrna this week, I think, possibly, to add 250 houses there, right next to where we're building Rocky Fork. So won't have to transport them far. I mean, not have to, so, you know, but they're coming.
Set up and Smyrna knows what we're requiring, so we should solve some problems now instead of waiting until after they're built and try to solve them.
Is there a diagram of where they're continuing to talk about extending Indian Springs all the way out? Have you seen any kind of?
I was in a meeting with the developers the other day, and we were discussing roads in that area. And you know where the curb is back towards Nashville Highway?
Yes, sir.
It's supposed to come right in there, that curb.
Wow, okay.
So that'd be nice to get that in. We're also adding a turn lane in that will be supplied by the county because the town of Smyrna is not charging us any impact fees. So that's the way we've done business with the town of Smyrna for years. And then there's some other roads coming out of the subdivisions and things in there that will flow through the new subdivision that's going there. And at some point there'll be an interchange onto to I-24 from Rocky Fork. And a frontage road also so the frontage road will almost start there and go almost to the way it is up on at Walden up there.
What size homes are being projected for that subdivision?
Those are in the 300,000 range. 280, 300,000.
I guess that'll say build it and they will come continues to be true.
Or those type of people are coming out of Williamson County and buying over here for a starter home.
We look forward to your presentation Thursday night. Anybody else?
Got B there.
Okay.
B is the Siegel Middle School marquee sign. Principal Kim Stoker has requested permission to replace the school's existing sign with a new one. The new marquee will be located at the existing sign location. Cost of the foundation, brick columns, and the marquee is estimated at $12,000. Materials and brick labor will be funded through school fundraisers. The marquee will be lighted, and Rutherford County Schools maintenance will install the electrical line, form and place the footings, and install the sign. The new marquee will be approximately 9 feet wide by 7 feet and 6 inches high. Principal Stoker has completed all the engineering and construction department requirements and will be responsible for all permits and for meeting all local and state code requirements. Recommend approval. A motion to approve construction of a new marquee sign at Siegel Middle School to replace the existing as presented. We had one question last night with the Health and Ed about when we do new buildings or we do additions or things on it, our process. And so we had the opportunity to explain how we now go through engineering and look at the plat where will be installed on property and that sort of thing before it comes to the board for approval. And, look at Title IX if there's issues with that and all. So they seem to be pleased that we had a process in place to do this review.
Mr. Odom, I think we'll move to 11.
11 is our revised policies that are on tab 5. Policy 3.206, which is community use of school facilities. The revision allows a one-year approval for an initial request and annual renewals thereafter for a maximum of 10 years. The revised policy also includes a detailed fee schedule. Policy 5.302 for sick leave. The revision provides employees with 2 bereavement days per qualifying event. And policy 1.108, nepotism. The revision removes the requirement to publicly notify the board prior to the employment of a relative of a board member, director of schools, administrator, county commissioner, or any appointed or elected official. The revision is recommended by TSBA in order to comply with current state law. Also, policy 5.305, under the Family Medical Leave Act, the revision changes the word "or" to the word "and" in the first paragraph of the policy regarding eligibility for family and medical leave. The revision is recommended by Tennessee School Board Association in order to comply with current federal regulations. The motion will be to recommend approval, motion to approve revisions to policy 3.206, 5.302, 1.108, and 5.305 on the first reading as recommended by the Policy Committee.
Discussion?
Our original thought on the Policy Committee, and I'm referring back to the very first one there, was considerably less than 10 years. But I think the 10 years will probably work if we, but we've got a new fee schedule, and that fee schedule really needs to be attached. We need to, the whole board needs to know what that fee schedule is, and I'm not sure everybody's got a copy of it. I believe we do, but could we attach it next time?
Good, we can just go ahead and put it on the
Do you
schedule.
want it emailed so everybody can look at it?
I think, do we all have one? A fee schedule? Did we not get one at the Policy Committee? Did. Okay, I think we have one. But I'd like to see it attached when we vote. Something else is bothering me. Maybe Ms. McLeod could help me out, or Mr. Young, who did a great job of chairing that committee. Did we say anything about a limited, I don't know how to word this, a limited, we'll call it rental, of a building? If somebody wanted to come in and use a classroom and it was approved for 1 hour, or the gymnasium for 1 hour, or the auditorium for 1 hour, our fee schedule did not reflect that, did it? You understand what I'm saying? No, not a waiver. No.
No, just an hour rather than like a church may be there for 2 or 3 hours or something like that. Is there a fee for just using the gym for, say, if somebody wanted to use it for practice for an hour? Did we come up with a fee schedule just like an hourly?
Right.
Yes. Is that
I didn't think we did that.
There were certain things that were on an hourly rate. Yeah, I don't have the fee schedule. Jeff, do you have it?
Thank you, Mr. Reed.
On the fee schedule, there were some things like the gym, if you rent it for an hour, that had a per hour rate.
It did have a per hour rate?
Or
Okay.
cafeteria. And that'd be the per hour rate plus whatever custodial services would be required to clean up after whatever event occurred. So we have both of those things that would be a part of the cost of the job. If you're looking to try to do some kind of reduction on the daily rate for whatever portion of school, if they don't use the whole thing, we could look at that, but it's not really provided for in the schedule right now.
Okay, I didn't want a person to have to pay some large major sum if they're using it on a very limited basis. And if we can use that kind of schedule, I'm fine. And I'm not sure I'm expressing myself very well. I meant like a room or the auditorium for a play practice for somebody that I realize is not school related, not a school group, or a basketball team that wanted to come in and practice, and they're going to use the gym. I don't want to charge them a whole day rate like they're going to be there 4 hours or something if we can avoid that. I don't believe they could.
We have per hour rates in some of the major facilities, such as gyms, I think,
Okay.
areas and things like that. The small things like classrooms, I don't think we have a per hour rate for classrooms. Yes, smaller fee, yes.
And it was just like $15 or something on it for a classroom.
It's not a lot, yeah,
Yeah.
Larger fees, we tried to break down into an hourly.
right.
Okay, well, if it's expressed on the form, I'm happy. And we need to mention here the 10 years, which I really think is a long time, but I get it. Mr. Hodge made a number of good points the other night relating to that, and I'm kind of in agreement with that. But they are going to be paying a fee if they stay 1 year or 10. It's going to be reviewed every year, so okay, thank you.
By state statute, the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts,
They are exempt by state statute from paying rental fees to the school system.
but they still have to prove insurance.
They have to provide insurance, yes,
Everybody has to provide insurance.
correct.
In the past, the building administrator or principal has had some discretion on those fees. Remind me, is this policy still allow any discretion for that building administrator beyond the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, which is really not discretion? We just said it's in statute.
Well, I think the thought behind the policy was to establish a uniform standard for the county as a whole.
Right.
That was the thought behind the policy. So towards that end, I think the committee that generated the policy was thinking that this would not be a discretionary thing where the principals will have the right to waive fees or lower fees in their discretion. So the way this policy has been proposed, it will be a set policy for the countywide that would not have any discretion with the principals to change or modify the fee schedule from what's set forth in the policy. Right. And some of the administrators indicated they were glad to have a standard they could look to that would be an objective standard, that would be something they could go to and give groups definitive answers that were uniform across the board with respect to treating groups the same. Because I guess what has happened in the county up to now is you've had different groups being charged different amounts for similar type facilities at different schools and maybe at different times. So the purpose of this policy was to establish uniformity in the county on the use of school facilities and the rates being charged to different groups. So toward that end, this policy really does not allow any discretion on the local school level for those fees to be waived.
Still, there are going to be circumstances that don't fit into exactly one scenario. For instance, if we happen to be hosting a tournament or something like that, that's not a Rutherford County activity, and yet periodically, from year to year, it may fall that we're hosting a basketball tournament or something of that nature, and none of our schools could be left in the bracket. The activity going on.
Government, it was one of those waived because it was a government or another, I say government's not the proper word, but it was TWSAA or athletic affiliated. It wasn't another fee. Say state tournament, bring teams in and ask to practice in our gyms. because it was another public school, we weren't going to charge. Am I correct, Mr. Young, in that?
That is correct, yes.
We created an exception for public education or other educational institutions and government entities.
Spring Fling was the same thing.
Okay. How about private educational, not profit entities? Would that fall under that same exception?
What did you say, private?
Private, nonprofit educational partners.
If it's education related, I think there's an exemption for it. To extent, it's like a classroom for Spanish, or some outside private school is offering Spanish classes in a school. I think that will fall within the educational exemption we have
Okay.
policy.
Specifically, talks about with respect to universities offering coursework.
So if you have a university come in to do a college class, I think the thought was that we would be charging them.
Okay.
If the board wants to do that or not do it, we can, obviously the policy's before you, so you have the right to make your will be known. So if you decide that we don't want to charge private colleges for using our facilities for particular things, now's the time to address it, and certainly we can put that in the policy.
I would think that issue would be, is it our students, or are they bringing people in from,
No.
that's not associated with our program?
We have some agreements and some new ones coming up with Motlow to use that. I'd like to see us work with them if we could, because they're doing some reciprocation, and they're letting our students take any course for $50. So we need to try to probably allow that, because it does give our students another avenue to get an education at a greatly reduced rate.
So, but with things like that, we want to carve out exemptions for. Of course, the board can do that, and that's why the policy comes before you now to make whatever changes you think you are appropriate for it. This is obviously a new thing that the school board's not had until now, so now's a good time to adjust it if we need to adjust it. And it may be one of those things that we have a policy in place that have to come back and tweak it and modify it as years to come with additional issues arise, because this is a new deal for the school system.
This policy is open for debate and discussion and amendment on Thursday night if someone should so choose. Isn't that correct? And it does it not ever, and I don't want it to, but it would not go back to Mr. Young's committee, and it would not go back to the full policy committee. Is that correct? It would not go back.
It would not go back unless the board sends it back to the committee.
Okay.
And it's just first reading. So it's open for discussion Thursday, but then a second reading as well before we're final.
Correct.
There are a lot of what-ifs that, as the community becomes aware and sees this, there are a lot of what-ifs that I, for one, as a board member, have been presented with. Most of them, are self-apparent and make sense, and you explain, and they go, "Oh, okay." But a couple of them are head scratchers, so we may have some additional discussion.
Well, and like Mr. Reed said, there may be some unforeseen circumstances in our future that this board or another board has to come back and tweak it, if you will. So, hopefully that doesn't happen on a regular basis, but, we certainly have the opportunity to correct if we need to correct.
I think it deserves to be said, too, again, that, first of all, I was a member of that committee, and of course the policy committee, as are all of you. And the one goal here was to put everything as equal and the same all over the county and fair as possible. That was a major goal. And another major goal is, as awkward as it may sound, was not to make any money All we wanted to do was recoup the taxpayers' money. That's all we were interested in. And we've agreed to split 60-40 when the school's getting the 60, and that can be tweaked if we discover that we are going and we are actually making money on people, and we're not interested in doing that. Now, Mr. Young, did I say that correctly?
Very good.
And I would like to say again that this board is grateful to you, Mr. Young, chairing this committee, and you, Mr. Jordan, and by serving, and the other members of the committee, although I just sat in the corner and watched the discussion, but I thought this committee did its due diligence as well as any committee I've ever witnessed. So I congratulate you on accomplishing a really difficult task. And what we had, the result, I think, is fair. And we'll continue to look at it Thursday night, and then we'll have another work session and another meeting to consider it again. But, yeah, Mr. Young, Mr. Jordan, thank you.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, and I know Mr. Young does too, but I can tell you that we had a very good committee to begin with, and frankly, without Mr. Reed and Ms. McLeod, I thought their advice and help and everything was just absolutely invaluable. But anyway, I guess we've given enough credit to everybody, but I think it's true.
Yes, sir. I agree. Anybody else? Then we'll bring this up again on Thursday. Board members, I apologize. I had a scheduling conflict and was not able to attend the insurance committee meeting. Ms. Barnes or Mr. Sandvig, y'all want to take care of that tonight?
Well, if you'd like to, I think in your folder is probably a...
If you're prepared, Mr. Sandvig, we'll go ahead and do that tonight.
Really, it was a very uneventful meeting. We are going out to bid for life insurance, some of those minor insurances. We were notified of that. Our costs are increasing in that 8 to 9% range over the prior year. So,
Did you vote no on the increase?
no, I did not. No.
Just tell them,
We
we
had one
can't do
year-
that anymore. Just
We had some
stop
years
it.
back where the increase that was proposed would have wiped out our fund balance. This was way back. Yeah.
Wow.
I think we as a board and maybe we as a population, we continue to be perplexed and frustrated by the increases that we're seeing in health insurance each year, especially just the last 2 years.
Indeed.
So, thank you, Mr. Sandvig. Chairman Hodge, TLN, do you want to do that Thursday or?
I don't have it. Everybody's got a copy of the toss of the bills that they basically listed. I read through all of them. As far as everything listed here, that I would. It looks like an awful lot of them had been taken off noticed, or rode 2 weeks. But I just picked out a couple of them here that I really don't understand what they're getting at or what they're trying to do, other than, I guess, telling us what to do. The House Bill 1425, teachers, principals, school personnel, as introduced, prohibits a local board of education from increasing the salary or compensation for the director of schools unless the board approves a raise for teachers. Just another way to dictate to us, I guess, but I don't know what the reason for that one was.
It's our representative too, and that's just,
Yeah, it is. And the other one that still just blows my mind, and it's rolled 2 weeks, and I didn't find it over here on the House bills, but over here on the Senate Education Committee, Senate Bill 0392, the one that requires local boards of education to admit students from outside their respective local school systems without the approval of the LEA. Requires local boards of education to arrange for the transfer of students residing within their systems to schools located outside their districts. Provides for the mandatory transfer of students if the receiving LEA has available space, teachers, and transportation. If I read that one right, it sounds to me like anybody can come from wherever. And I got, the way things are here right now, I don't think we have to worry about a lot of it, because every school we got's overcrowded, so, or will be overcrowded, but I just don't understand what they're getting at. Do you, Mr. Oldham?
part of this was tied to that out of Knoxville with that STEM school, I think. That they were trying to pick up some students in some surrounding counties to attend that. And in the past, the current law, that school districts can agree to take another one that resides, say in Bedford County, and come here. We would ask, if you did, that the funds, state funds and county funds or something be exchanged, and people just typically did not do it very much. But it's tied, I think, was the impetus behind it was the STEM school in Knoxville, was what I was told.
But to take the BEP money is one thing. but
Take
to
local tax money.
To take Rutherford County taxpayers' money to another county is,
I mean, I don't understand the reason behind it, but, there's a lot of things I don't understand, so those were just, a couple that I came across that just caught my attention. As you'll see, most of them are on education, and one kicks, the Senate bill reflects back to the House bill on some of them, if you go through and read them. And like I said, I didn't see the House bill on the list unless I overlooked it. This House Bill 0909, I didn't see it on the list, but
Probably wasn't, this was last week's actions.
okay.
And so they just include, if it went through a committee or was voted on the floor, it'll be in this last week. There's still hundreds of bills out there with education, but it just wasn't last week that they acted on it.
I think 0392 is a caption bill, and
Bicycle helmet.
it was a bicycle helmet at first. Now it's deviated into this, because it had the Title 49 attached to it, so it could delve into that. And there were several caption bills that had nothing to do with education, but they had they had the Title 49 attached to it. So the elected superintendents has gained traction again too, hasn't it?
Yeah, I saw it, it may have been the, CSBA one where I saw that one, I think.
Yes, sir.
I don't know, I'm not sure when that one comes up.
Yes, sir.
It's really interesting when you see an amendment. Sometimes you see an amendment, the amendment starts out by saying the amendment deletes all language in the original bill, and it rewrites it again. So when they file it, they're not sure what they want it to say, but been a number of those. There's another one in here that there's nothing necessarily wrong, but from being a large school system, that's House Bill 2071, as introduced, requires the Department of Education to develop materials for training school personnel about suicide prevention and to establish a model policy. It's an annual training for all school employees. So for us, this will be about 5,000 people, roughly, with all of our employees to be trained annually. So I hope when they develop this, some of it's online, because it's going to be real task to track it and see that it's done. But this one's very likely to pass, and the concept is excellent. It's just going to be the easiest thing to do annually with 5,000 employees.
There's still a bunch of them out there.
All I like to say is stay on your toes.
Yes, sir. Anybody else? Thank you, sir. Something comes up between now and Thursday, we'll open that door again if you want to. Mr. Holliday, anything from our federal friends?
We'll roll to Thursday.
All right.
Watch the election results tonight.
Okay.
You might allow Ms. Barnes to report to you about the recruitment fair, since we
That's
haven't
correct.
met since the last one. Some good news there, so.
Moving on to number 15, we will recognize you, Ms. Barnes, if you would share with us.
Thank you. Mr. Odom thought you might like to hear a little bit about our job fair that we had on February 20th. So we've heard back from our principals, and they were very supportive of the day that we had. They felt like we had a number of very strong and qualified candidates that came through. We estimate about 350 to 375 candidates. And the good thing this year was we had a very even spread between our elementary room and our middle school and high school room. So they had, middle school, high school is often our challenge, but they had a large number of candidates in there for the full 2 hours that we kept the fair open. We actually signed 12 preliminary contracts that day, 2 of those elementary and the others high school. And to date, we have signed 30 preliminary contracts spread across elementary, middle school, and high school for the 16-17 school year. Of those, 9 are in high school math and 1 is in chemistry. So that's a really good feat for us to have accomplished. We're very proud of that. So I think our principals were pleased. They have a good pool to consider for vacancies that come up over the next 2 or 3 months. And they've responded to that and said they're really pleased with the candidates that they can go to now to talk about vacancies that we have, because they're interviewing large numbers at this time. So thank you for allowing us to do that and helping us to fund that day.
Sounds like you had quality more than quantity this time.
We felt that the candidates there it was a really good pool of candidates that they had to interview and select from.
You moved the date up a little.
We did. We moved it to February 20th. We actually have investigated other systems surrounding us, and there is one coming up in March, and then another one that's one of our local systems is going to be later in April. So we definitely think an early date helped.
Again, thank you. Mr. Hodge.
Ms. Barnes, how many, I know it may be early, how many retirees you expect we'll have?
I think right now, Mr. Hodge, we're somewhere around 65, but we start counting on that list from the day after the retirement reception that we have. So anybody that retires after that date, that's where we pick up the list for the next year. So that could be several that retired last summer and then on into the fall and towards this end. But we're around 65 right now. That includes classified and certified. I don't have a breakdown right now, but I can get that if you want it.
All right, good.
Very many math or science teachers retired.
Yes, sir. But those are the positions, that as soon as we get that retirement or resignation notice, we allow principals to post it immediately, and that's what they've been thankful for too, that they can search out a candidate early and secure that contract for next year.
Okay, great.
Have quite a few resignations for classified. They found another job at 12 months instead of 10 or something like that. So your total number of changes is, I don't know if it's quite double that or not, but it's pretty large when you take all of it together.
That's fairly typical each year. Okay.
Anybody else? We're into the throes of the tournament season, and so that's pretty exciting stuff going on. So between the academics and the athletics, Rutherford County is a very exciting place to be. The SCOPE conference is next week. And next Tuesday, and Ms. Michaels has secured participation from all of our high schools. Yeah, I'm thrilled with that. I think this will be my 9th or 10th scope participation, and I'd like to think that those students from last year took back the word that it was a lot of fun and interesting, and I know I enjoy it. It's a full day, but they get to have a mock school board meeting with a director of schools and school board members, and I usually assign each one of your names to my board, so we don't give them a profile, so they go through character studies. So, but it's very interesting, and I hope they get a lot out of it. I know I do.
We did go before Health and Ed last evening with the building program. A couple of you were there, I guess, and saw it. So they did approve the Rocky Fork Middle School to construct that, the Smyrna Middle renovation, and $220,000 to do design work for David Urey. And the next step will be going for budget and finance.
We may have some discussion about that on Thursday. So, we'll see. We'll see. Anybody else? Good. Ms. Michaels, we'll be back again Thursday night, and I think Mr. Jordan said some things about our future scheduling. I think you've got him squared away, I hope.
She has me squared away, yes.
Good. Seems to be, will continue to be a rainy night, so everyone be safe, and we'll see you back here Thursday at 5 o'clock. We stand adjourned.